Okay, so we're trying something new and we will see if it works. I'm trying something called Stage 10 as a platform this time around. And I'm unsure what's happening. It says that it's live, but I have no idea if it's broadcasting anything. Works. I'm confused. Oh, you guys, the technology. When am I ever going to win with this? Let's try this. This. Go over here. Hey, it says that we have a live stream. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Hey, 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 winning. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right. One day I'm going to get this all figured out and it's going to be amazing. I still don't know exactly what I did right today, so apparently this is a thing. Yeah. Okay. So these are both through here. All right. Okay, well, as long as it looks like it's streaming, we're gonna go with that and get started, I guess. So I'm trying this Stage 10 platform. It's different than the platform I have been using. It looks like there's a bit of a video delay from what I can see. Myrna says she can hear me, so perfect. We will just go with that and figure out what I'm doing right, because I still don't know. All right, anyway, we're working on the compass rose for Marshall's map today. My goal is to have Marshall's map done by next Friday. So I need to get really booking on this. I have been incredibly away from my desk for the last little while. There's just been a lot of life going on with Dave's deployment and with all of the bits and pieces that are attendant to that. We're kind of embedded in the military community here and it's posting season. So there are a lot of people coming and going that aren't necessarily just us. So trying to say goodbye to friends and help people who are moving and all of that kind of thing. It's just busy, and I don't mean to be away from my desk as much as I am, but some of these things are unexpected and I'm just trying to do the best I can with what I've got. But my goal is to have Marshall's map done by next Friday, which means I need to get rolling on it. So one of the things that I want to do today is just get to work on the compass rose, see if I can get a design put together that I like, and then have that go from there. Marshall gave me carte blanche for all of the decorative details of the map, which I'm excited about. He said that if there was anything that was super thrilling for me to just play with, that I should do that. So I am looking forward to that. Apparently I cannot draw a circle to save my life today, you guys. And that is okay. And apparently I left my eraser and my D&D supplies last night. Awesome. Hey, so it actually looks like there are people in the chat today. That's exciting. Which means I got it right. That should have been a sign for me last week, because I don't think I've ever done a stream where no one showed up. So I should have known. So what kind of... If I was smart, maybe I'd be doing this on graph paper. Yeah, maybe let's trade paper. I bought myself a new pad of Rhodia dot paper, and I haven't really done much with it. So maybe let's trade over to that. I think one of the things that I don't like about dealing with the technology shift since they've moved it off of working with the phone is that I get much more flustered at the beginning of a stream now because I'm so unsure if things are happening or not. Hi, Joe. Go enjoy your walk. But yeah, I start out more flustered and then it really shakes my confidence for kind of dealing with the rest of everything. And I don't like that. I had a much easier time kind of dealing with things before when I knew instantly that it was going to work and not that it was going to be a problem. So I'm a little bit vexed about that, to be honest. So one of the things that I want to do is I like circular compass roses. I think that they're pretty great. And I think I want to do like a cityscape in this one, like a tower or something. So I'm just going to sketch out kind of the shapes that I'm interested in, kind of for the profile. Maybe, yeah, maybe instead of like a cone, we do something a little more round, like a seed pod, because that would be fun. Hey, Brian, how are you? I'm sorry it's been such a gong show with the streams, my friend. I've missed you. What's new? Yeah, maybe we'll do it that way. I do? Oh no. Oh boy. Let's turn that one off. And does that resolve it? I'm trying a new streaming platform for the first time and I've never used it, so I'm not sure what's going on. I guess I can always delete one of them afterwards. Although that doesn't help me feel more confident about the whole thing. I am glad that you're very good. That makes me happy to hear. Anything new and interesting going on in your world? I enjoyed your latest set of your walking pictures. Oh man. The technology thing. I need this to solve itself. Like for real. I have to say I was inspired to get a Rhodia dot pad because of Nicholas Wendt, I think is how you pronounce his last name. in one of my mapping groups. He works on one, and I really enjoy the precision that it adds to his work. So I was like, you know what, I want to try this. I have no idea if it will give me the same results that it gives his. I think he may just have more innate talent than I do. But I'm curious to see if it's a tool that adds to my process or not. Yeah, if you could send a screenshot. Where are you going to send it to? Because then I guess I have to look for it. Some lagginess. Oh, I just asked if you had anything new and interesting going on. There does seem to be some lag, hey? Like even in what I'm reading. Okay, I think I figured out the double stream thing. Maybe? Yeah, I've got Facebook open. That would be great. Thank you. One day we'll get this sorted out. And it would be good. One day, one day. Day job and walking. That sounds like a pretty good life, I gotta say. I would accept that. That would work for me. I'm trying to get my commission queue cleaned up before the end of next week because Dave is taking some leave prior to heading out for his deployment, and I want to take that time off with him. So we will see how that goes. Yay, no complaints. That's exciting. You're watching the top one. Sorry, I just got your message. Okay, so I think I got rid of the second one. Can you just verify that for me? Just send me a message in the chat here. I think I may have sorted it out. The tent was awesome, I have to say. Like, we had such a good time at that event. I wanted to draw all the tents, but I didn't have as much time for it as I expected to. But really exciting. The place that we were at saw me working on the tent and was like, hey, your work is really cool. I'm thinking about getting a map done of our place. Would you be interested? And I said, funnily enough, I do maps, like, as kind of my thing. So I can show you some of my work. And I pulled up my Instagram and they were like, yeah, this is really cool. So I may end up actually getting to do the official map of their site, which is pretty exciting for me. Yay, success. Okay, I know how to solve that problem. Yay, one easy technological fix. I am grateful for this. What kind of trees should we put in here? Because I feel like towers need to have trees to illustrate how tall they are. Something like pines, maybe? Yay. So yeah, I think it would be super cool to go and do a map for them. It'd be particularly awesome if it meant I got to go actually out there and like look in all the tents and stuff, because I didn't want to go snooping in other people's tents while we were out there because I thought that might be an invasion of privacy. But each of the tents was a different shape, and each of the tents had a different internal setup as to how they were laid out, what kind of furniture and stuff was in them. And I thought that that was pretty cool. So it would be neat to go and actually have a chance to look while I wasn't worried about offending other people. Hi, Laura. I'm excited that you're here. Are you at work? You and your beautiful red hair. Well, I'm pleased that you are getting the cash monies. Yay, employment. Invoicing is a little bit tedious, so we're happy to keep you company while you're doing that. I'm kind of in love with this pencil, you guys. It is a Staedtler Wopex, Wopex, and it's a 2B, and it's lovely. Hi, Amy! I hope your packing is going well, and I hope Hazel is not too sad. Some people pay way too much on their cars or for their cars, Laura. I just can't picture owning a very expensive car. I don't have that kind of extra cash in my life. I'm happy for the people that do. It's just not something that I can prioritize right now. I'm glad it's going well. That's awesome. How soon are you leaving? It's got to be coming up real quick, hey? Sunday. Oh my. Yeah, that's coming up right quick. You got all your stables and stuff sorted out? Oh my. Well, the protective film, though, like that stuff lasts a long time. I know that we had to replace the film on my trunk when one of Dave's football player friends backed into my car 2 years ago. It was like $300 that we had to pay from our insurance, but it was worth it because I'm not going to have to repaint my trunk anytime soon. Thanks for congrats. No, you don't have everything sorted out? Oh my, that must be stressful. Okay, well, that's at least you got somewhere for her to stay. That's good. I think it's amazing, like, how prolific polyvinyls and plastics are. Like, we've really, out of all the resources on the planet I can think of, that's become one of the ones that it's just everywhere, so much so that we don't even think about it. I've been thinking about that a lot because our prime minister just announced that Canada's banning a lot of single-use plastics, ideally within the next 2 years. And I think this is awesome and I think it needs to happen. I'm just super curious to know how the industries that need to pick up the slack for that are actually going to succeed in doing so in terms of generating new products. Um, because I don't think we're going to be able as a society to quit single use plastics in 2 years. Like, people are just so ingrained in that. And there's certain industries where single use serving containers and stuff like that are super necessary. So I'm not sure. It makes me confused. Still important though. Yeah, like, I'm thinking sciences. I was thinking most specifically of, like, nursing, just because single-use plastics in that industry is massive for just biocontamination reasons and stuff, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's kinda why, like, they're gearing all of this towards consumer single-use plastics, like solo cups, straws, cutlery, that kinda thing, which I think, honestly, there's ways of us getting around that that we should just be doing anyway. Um, but I'm curious to know, like, what the ripple effect of that will be. I think people do really good creative work when there's pressure on those, so I think a ban like that is gonna motivate people to figure it out faster than just being like, "Oh, on your own time," because it makes it a priority. Yeah, yeah, I don't know, man, like, I think what it takes more than anything is pre-planning, and people just aren't used to having to think ahead, like, should I pack my own straw? What about carrying my own cutlery and stuff like that? Um, when I was working for C3, my boss had a heart transplant the Friday before I started working there, and because of contamination issues, he couldn't use, like, cutlery that was just left at a food court or whatever because there was no guarantee how clean it was. So he carried his own bamboo utensils, um, and they were great, like, he had to wash them and stuff, but he just kept them in his bag, and he had them with him all the time, and it not only kept him safe, it cut down on the waste that he was generating. And given what we did for work, we were a not for profit that was working on reducing greenhouse gas emissions in response to the Kyoto Accord that Canada signed onto. Um, and we were doing a lot of consumer level rebate programs and stuff to encourage people to adopt green tech for their houses and for their cars and things. It was really cool that like he could also in a way be leading by example. I mean, true, it was for different reasons than necessarily just the green reasons, but it was still kind of awesome that that coincided that way. So, yeah. Yeah, the carrying a steel water bottle. The big one for me is I always forget to bring my stuff, but I invested in a what brand was it? Swell little thermos, like a coffee thermos, and it's so pretty that now I'm just constantly making sure I have it. I'm like, I don't want to lose it. I paid a lot of money for this and I think it's really beautiful. And that helps. I mean, I think that maybe there's something to the aesthetics of the world too. Like I think with single-use plastics, we get used to this utilitarian everything the same because we're cost driven at that point. It needs to be cheap for the people providing it. But it's also maybe a little soul deadening just in terms of the aesthetics of things. So maybe if we're going to individual things that we all need to carry, we kind of might have a return to beautiful crafted objects that you have pride in carrying with you. I think that would be cool. I think it would be good for us. I've been doing a lot of research about the Art Nouveau movement because Dave is being deployed to Latvia, and their capital city, Riga, has one of the largest Art Nouveau architectural neighborhoods in the world. And it's one of my favorite movements in art. I absolutely love it. And it would be really cool, I think, to have like a cutlery kit or a water bottle or whatever that was all that aesthetic. Because just some of the objects, like the day to day objects from that movement, were so beautiful. Inkwells and stuff. You know what, Brian? I think there's something to that. I really do. Because yeah, if you truly value it, you're going to keep track of it for sure. Because I have other things that I've paid a lot less for that I still track like crazy because I either can't replace them now because they don't exist anymore, or they were just important enough to invest in. The money to spend thing, I think, is a super important part of that equation because disposables tend to be cheaper than saving up and being able to buy the thing that's going to last longer. I don't know if any of you read the Discworld books by Terry Pratchett, but in one of the Guards books, it might even have been Guards, Sam Vimes, who's the head of the City Watch, talks about kind of the metric of the cost of boots and how if you save up, you can buy more expensive boots that will last you longer, but there's no guarantee that you would not make it through your life barefoot for the period of time it would take you to actually save up. And I think there's something to that. Like, I lived that as a student for sure, where it was like I could save up and buy myself the $200 shoes that are going to last me for years, but in the meantime, I have no shoes. So I think that's just a thing. I think it keeps people poor because then you have to buy 5 sets of cheap $20 shoes instead of saving up to be able to buy the one good set, right? I suppose it's pretty obvious I'm down on capitalism today. I'm down on it most days, but I'm particularly vexed by it today. Oh, that's a bummer, Amy. Is it just like I don't know too much about adult ADHD, so please forgive me if I'm coming across ignorant. It's not my intention at all. I genuinely want to learn. Is it because the distraction makes it hard for you to remember that you came with things? Yeah, okay. I follow that. That makes sense to me. That's got to be really frustrating for you. Good for you, Brian. That's exciting. It's definitely like a thing for us because we're one income right now. Like I don't make enough mapping to qualify as a second income. I make enough to periodically like do something for us, but it's not the same as me working a full-time job or even a part-time job at this point by any means. Um, but Dave going on this tour, the deployment pay is pretty incredible. Um, and that's going to change our financial situation radically. Like it's going to help wipe out debt and stuff, and I'm really excited about it. It makes me feel bad that I haven't been able to materially contribute as much. I'm having some tough feels about that. But I mean, this is where we're at, so you might as well just deal with it as opposed to be mad about it. So, yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, I get that completely, Amy. I'm really particular about having stuff in certain places too, because then I know where it is. Um, Dave is terrible for just putting shit down. And then he never knows where it is once he loses it. And it's like, dude, I have to track all your stuff now too. It's the worst. Oh man, I'm sorry about your camera. That sucks. Camera's also like, again, with the expensive and the difficult to replace. So that's super irritating. All right, let us put another circle on this thing. Oh, come on. Sorry, my head's gonna be in the way for a second. I really suck at compasses, you guys. Like, super suck at them. I have a circle template somewhere that just is a giant set of plastic circles, and they make my life so much better. Yeah, like the thing that kind of kills me about it is Dave has earned his salary. In no way am I like lamenting his thing at all. He's been in the army for 20 years. He has all of the attendant physical bullshit that goes with being in the infantry for 20 years. He's earned his cash. I'm not mad. But I do have a master's degree, and it kind of kills me that I cannot get work here. I'm overqualified for everything. And it's like, but I just want to work. Like, clearly, I am willing to stock shelves or whatever. At compasses, I know, but I've never figured out how to properly use one of these things. I never get reliable, beautiful circles. It's super unfortunate. I don't like it. Myrna has this cool thing that's like a plastic circle with a bunch of other plastic circles kind of notched into it, and you just use it to trace a circle, and it's beautiful. And I think I want one because I think it will improve the quality of my life because I suck at this. I don't think we're exactly the same, but it's nice to know we're kindred spirits, Amy. Yeah, it's definitely a thing for me, and I find it super frustrating. And it's hard also because like it's not something that I feel like I should complain about. Because at least we're financially in a position where it's not a massive fucking problem that we're a one income household. Um, Whereas I know families where they're really struggling, and because we choose to live a simpler life, like we are okay. We're not as good as we could be in terms of like savings and stuff like that, but we're not dying. Um, so it just kind of is one of those things where I still want to work, right? I want to be productive. We place so much value on what we do for a living and all of those markers as well. So it feels very weird for me to not have that as part of my identity right now in a way that looks traditional to other people. It's amazing the lack of legitimacy being an artist has from people here. Yeah, the one that looks like a camera lens. Yeah, it looks pretty amazing. I want to try one, I think. There's also one that looks like a ratchet. That's got like the silver column that you attach a handle to, and then there's holes in the handle that lets you do the thing. The benefit of that one is apparently it doesn't leave a mark on your paper the way that the pointy end on this kind of compass does. And I just think it looks cool. It might be fun. Um, no, I know what you mean, Brian. Um, it's not specifically because of what I studied. Um, but what I studied doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of places. Like, I don't have a science degree. The closest thing that what I studied would move into is probably policy and social planning. And where I'm located geophysically, there's nothing for that here. I would need to be probably in our provincial capital, which is 200 kilometers away, and there's no work for Dave there. Um, what it is in Canada, they basically look at your level of education and they decide if you have enough education or too much education for the position of salary that you're applying for, even if you have skills or don't have skills that kind of line up with that. So, because I have a master's degree, when I apply to retail shops like Canadian Tire, they are paying minimum wage and I'm clearly willing to do the work, which is why I've applied to work there. But they see that I have a master's degree and they go, "You are qualified to make so much more doing a better job than what we can pay you. And you're going to be mad about the fact that we're not paying you very much. So we're just not going to hire you so that we don't have to worry about that." Um, and like, it's really weird because like, I just want to work. Like, I'm not earning outside money right now. So if I was working, I'd be earning outside money. And the master's degree doesn't go to any use at all, regardless, whether I'm working a job I don't have experience for or not working. So I find it really bizarre. I don't know if it's true everywhere. Um, I don't regret my master's at all. Like, I don't mean to make that sound like I regret it because I don't. It was one of the best experiences for me. I met Dave there, like, definitely no complaints. Um, but it's really interesting to kind of learn after the fact just the different ways that my expectations were groomed as a kid. Like, if you get a university degree, you'll get a good job, you'll be stable, you'll be able to provide for your family. If you get a master's degree, you'll get an even better job, you'll be even more stable. And none of that is proving to be true. And I don't think that that's necessarily just a problem for me. Like, a lot of my friends seem to be struggling more with having jobs that pay and have benefits and you can be in for 20 years. Like, Dave and I have arguments about this a fair amount because like he's been with the army for 20 years and he's only a few years older than I am. And so for him, things like health benefits and a pension and stuff like that is perfectly normal and he's always had access to that. And that is just not true for other people our age. Most people our age have worked between 6 and 10 jobs by now. Maybe their longest term of employment is 5 or 10 years. Benefits are sketchy, that kind of thing. And I have to constantly remind Dave, like, you are not the norm for people our age anymore. Like, this was more common for our parents and even more common for our grandparents. So it's definitely an interesting thing. Yeah, you really do. Like, it sometimes is about who you know and them just willing to take a chance on you so that you can get in there. And I think that that's not really fair either. Like, I don't know. There's something about like faith in each other in terms of humanity that I feel we're lacking, and it's impacting people's ability to do their thing. Part time with no benefits. Yeah, I get that. Hi, Susie. I'm excited to see you. Yeah, I hear you about the dumbed down resume. Like, I made the mistake, we're in a super small town, um, of having my master's on my resume because I didn't know better when I got out here. And yeah, no, nobody will touch me now. The longest I've worked here was 6 weeks as an optometrist assistant, which I have zero experience for. And it was like, you know what, I'm willing to try, I'm willing to learn. Are you willing to teach me? And they took a risk on me, and it was 6 weeks of very interesting life. Like, I definitely have learned a lot of experience for that. I got a great seed of a story about smuggling information in the barely visible engravings in people's bifocals. Like, just random stuff, but it's definitely not a job I could do full time. Like, I would need to retrain, I'd need to go back to school and get the degree for it. So, and the only reason I even got the opportunity is because it's a small town. They're having a hard time finding skilled labor to come in and do the work. So, for a micro job, yeah, it's a thing. I think one of the things that I'm kind of wrestling with too is I have chosen not to have kids. And that is an atypical decision for military families. Military families tend to be fairly conservative. There tends to be a lot of stay at home moms with children and that kind of thing. And that was a decision. Like, Dave and I are both second marriages for each other. So the timing is not as good as it could have been, even if we wanted kids. But I've never wanted them. And I've been pretty open about that decision. I have my reasons. But it's something that I don't want to have to justify not having kids every time I'm at a military event. Because I definitely get looked down on for not having children here. There's a lot of just what I think of as very inappropriate comments, like, well, don't you think he's worth carrying his child for and all that stuff? And I'm like, are you for real? Like, where is this coming from? That is just wildly inappropriate. And I love my friends' kids. I get to be the cool auntie. I get to be the emergency contact. Like, that is a big deal for me. But I'm not in a place in time where having children of my own makes sense for me. And I hate being judged for that. Like, and the combination of, like, well, you're not even working and you don't have kids. Like, what's your excuse? It's just brutal. Just brutal. Yeah. Um, Laura, did you know Christine and Aaron in Edmonton? Probably not, because that wouldn't have been a bisection in my life that you would have met. But yeah, Aaron has a red seal, and it was just brutal. It wasn't helping him at all with his job, and um, has changed fields since then. So yeah, I think I think we just need to be more patient and supportive of each other. I don't know. My idealism gets the better of me a lot of times, though. I have to say that. Dave frequently has to reality check me and be like, babe, this is not in fact how the world works. And I'm like, but it should work that way. And I get offended. Yeah, as much as I knock on Dave for, like, people don't normally have pensions, he knocks on me for people are not normally nice. I'm like, but that's not fair. They should be. There's a dog barking across the street like it's the end of the world, and I feel so bad for it. I just want to go over there and be like, it's okay, little buddy, it's okay. Your people will come home. What? Find a different doctor. That is 100% not okay. I do too, Susie. That's a thing in my world. It does lead to disappointment sometimes, but I am often gratified. I find that if you just expect better, people tend to rise to your expectations, and I love that about the world. It's more in the meta that I get frustrated, I think. And I understand why that is. Like, when I was doing my research for my undergrad, a lot of meta stuff, like how we organize our society, has to be based on worst case scenarios. Otherwise, we just run a lot of risks about things not being sustainable. Bureaucracy is a particularly horrid example of this, but it's really true. And that's disappointing. But on the individual, I find people are quite wonderful most of the time. Especially if you're nice first. I think that's a thing. I think a lot of times people just expect it to not be okay. And then if you're nice first, they're like, oh, wait a second, I'm pleasantly surprised. It doesn't cost me anything to be nice first. I don't think it's naive either. I'm going to hold on to that word for a second. I think it's compassionate. And I think that operating from a position of compassion is maybe not standard anymore. And I think it should be. Like, it always seems so much more explicable to me if you assume that whoever you're dealing with is a human going through human things. And if you treat them that way, they tend to be pretty amazing. Like you guys putting up with all of my lack of technical acumen. This poor dog is just breaking my heart, you guys. I just want to go cuddle it, be like, it's gonna be okay. For me, if like that's a thing and you really want kids and your partner doesn't want kids, that you might need to go find another partner. Like, nobody's saying for him to get his tubes tied, right? I don't know. That's a problem for me. Big time. I like that phrasing, Susie. I think generosity of the spirit is definitely the way to look at it. Because it is generosity. Because I don't believe that choosing to be nice is naive. You're making that call. You know that there's a possibility you're going to be disappointed and stuff like that. And especially those of us that do it again and again, like we know. We definitely know that it could not turn out the way we want it to. But we choose it anyway. And I think that's actually a particular kind of bravery in my head. Yeah, for sure. I agree, Amy. But then we get into the whole thing of like cognitive bias. Because you definitely find what you look for. You definitely do. I have a couple of friends that I love dearly who are just unending pessimists. And I've had to kind of step back and give myself permission to not be the, yeah, but have you looked at this person? Because it just gets exhausting to throw that energy down the well all the time. I choose to live my life looking for the good shit, and I find it, and I'm happier for it. Doesn't mean I'm ignoring what's not good out there. It just means that I think that I'm better fortified to deal with it sometimes because I'm not weighed down by everything all at once. I think that's one of the things that I've really grown to love about being online actually is I don't do well meeting people in big groups. Like I get nervous and it just stokes my anxiety and stuff. But I like to meet people a few at a time. And I do really well with the written word. So being online where there's a chat, it kind of orders the flow of conversation and stuff like that. And then I'm less like, this isn't going to work. People aren't going to like me. And people are cool. Like if you're willing to hang out in a chat for a live stream, you're clearly patient. You're clearly kind. You're willing to give people room to speak their piece and maybe respond and maybe don't. And I get that apparently the online can be a difficult place to be, but that hasn't been my experience so far. Maybe that's because I'm not like a wildly popular YouTuber who has to deal with a million people, but I'm pretty happy. I think this is a great experience, meeting people from all over the world, getting to know people that I live close to that I wouldn't necessarily get to hang out with on the regular. And I just think that's so cool. Sometimes the internet blows my mind, you guys. It just makes me super happy. But again, it's what you use it for, I guess, right? Amy, I agree with you. Being kind and giving of yourself, I think, is the only thing we're really in control of. And so I think that that makes a huge difference for how it goes. Saxon can hear a dog going by outside and he's freaking out. I feel better when my integrity is intact and I make decisions that are the best decisions for me about how I want to interact with the world and how I want to be perceived. And I think that that's the way to do it for me. I get confused when people don't empower themselves that way, but that's not my decision to make. That's their decision to make. So just try to leave my hands off it and let them do what they do. I hear you about the heated discussions part of things, Susie, because Dave and I are pretty wildly unaligned on a lot of issues. I'm a diehard pacifist. He is an infanteer. Like, it's definitely a different kind of deal with us. But that's part of what keeps it interesting. And for me, it really just proves that you can be respectful across some pretty big divides if you choose to be. Dave and I don't yell, we don't call names. Like, we have a very careful way of talking, even though, like, we're pretty passionate about our positions. Our passion doesn't diminish at all, it just the presentation changes. And I think it makes us improve the quality of our arguments overall. Because if you're trying to convince somebody who is staunchly opposed to you and educated about their position, you really do have to up your ante. Yeah, Dave's is wildly different from mine too, Susie. The keeping my integrity intact thing came out of my divorce because it was a really contentious, very drawn out process. We were technically getting divorced longer than we were married. And there were a lot of people that thought, with the way that it was going, I should be less kind, I should be more vindictive, and fall into a lot of stereotypes that, in my opinion, exist about divorces with the bitchy ex wife and stuff like that. I just had no interest in that narrative. I did not want to be seen that way. I did not want to have to invest the energy that it took to be that person because I am not normally that person. And basically, I said to the people that were encouraging that behavior that the only thing I had at this point was dignity. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. What I had was who I was. And I wasn't prepared to throw that away for anything, really. And I'm overall very, very happy with that decision. It was the right one. It maybe made things take longer, but I didn't feel like a total asshole at the end of it. When it's one sided, it also just, I don't find you can explore things as much. There's a lot of like, well, but what if this that you can do with educated two sided conversation that you can't do when only one person is speaking. Saxon's finally come up to the office. Hi, Goomba. I have to say, I'm super grateful that we have another dog now that Dave is going away. It will be nice not to be the only living body in the house. My plants don't count. I am a terrible plant parent. I suck at them so much. I think that commitment to listening is a big one. And I think it's not something that people actively consider a lot of the time. Like, we get told as long as we kind of take in the sounds that someone else is making that we're listening. And I don't think that's actively true in a lot of cases. I know that I've had a lot of frustration with people that are only waiting for me to stop talking as opposed to actually listening. So I try to do better than that because I know that it really stokes my frustration. I'm not always good at doing better than that, but I definitely try. I do not know about the shape of this tower, you guys. This might have been a mistake. Yeah, that's a little weird. I gotta say, it's a little weird. Mm-hmm. Let me phrase this. Dave and I do that too. I like that. I think that that also kind of slows down a conversation and an argument, especially an argument, and kind of invites that compassion back again, where it's like, I could give you the option of allowing you the dignity in this conversation and this fight to present what you want to actually present. Or I could take that agency away from you. It's a tough one though, because then you actually have to like actively work on it. Sometimes I just want to say what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's a weird tower. I don't know how I feel about that. Good thing this is the rough draft, right? I can change my mind about it later. I don't usually work with my window open, so this has been interesting today. Brian, you've been quiet for a long time. Are you still there? Have we freaked you out? And then I think I want a heavy black border. So come on, pen. All right, enjoy, Susie. Don't get sunburnt. I don't know if it's as bright there as it is here, but it's pretty shiny over here today. Thank you for joining me. It was very wonderful to have you. Which book are you reading, Amy? Oh boy, 8-foot windows. Hey, are you roasting to death, Laura? Well, hopefully not to death. Nice. I think we all need a good unicorn princess once in a while. I always wanted to be a mermaid, though, for the record. Unicorns were not my jam. Mermaids, totally my jam. We do? What do you mean, Brian? I feel like that's kind of true of life in a lot of ways, Amy. Only people who believe in certain things interact with certain things. I don't know. I think a unicorn princess is more useful than other princesses. At least they can pass their animal handling checks. I have to spend today prepping once I'm done this for a game that I'm running tonight. So that'll be fun. Hopefully Marshall digs this. I'm digging this. I think that this is pretty cool. I will use a proper template to do my circles though. On the final map. All right, I'm gonna let that set up for a second and then take out the pencil. I hear you about the different voices. I've been doing some different voices with NPCs in my game, and that's been fun. Oh, I just looked up and realized people can see the side of my head when I'm drawing with this new camera angle. I hope that's okay. You hate the ranger? Why do you hate her? Because you don't want to deal with unicorns? Are they hamster-sized unicorns? How long have we been broadcasting for, friends? I cannot tell. Well, I think we'll go to 11 because that's only 15 more minutes. So I guess the question now is your ranger a virgin? And does virginity matter to the unicorns in your world? Because that's a pretty common trope. That's a thing you could exploit. We've been on for an hour and 15 already? Wow. It does not feel like that. Hamster-sized unicorns are a Critical Role thing. They're amazing. They make me happy. Yeah, you can have them. They're just tiny. What kind of unicorns are you using? Like, there's the Chinese Kirin, which is kind of sort of a unicorn creature. And then there's, like, traditional kind of medieval European unicorns. And there's all kinds. Kind of want to color it, you guys. That might be fun. I guess I should check and see if the actual map is supposed to be in color or not. Do. 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 Enjoy. Be safe on your delivery. The standard monster manual kind. That is fair. You've been putting it off. Do you want me to help you? Because I don't mind. Oh, man. This one looks like it needs a bit more line weight. Yeah, probably European if it's the monster manual. You are correct. I'm a big fan of the representation of unicorns in Mercedes Lackey and James Mallory's books about the Endarkened Wars. Shalkin is probably my favorite unicorn that I've ever read in a fiction book. He's just a wisecracker, and I think he's amazing. Do you think there's a Kirin in the monster manual? Let us find out. There's some homebrew. Copy this. Paste. Playing regularly is super hard. I think that's like one of the benefits of being out here is that like there's nothing else to do on base. So we have a very dedicated, very regular crew here, which I understand is not the norm for most people. So Dave's even going to try to convert our game that we're playing on Wednesday nights right now to Roll20 so that he can run it from Latvia. which is like a whole other level of dedication. We'll have to move to playing on the weekends because our normal game time is like 4 a.m. Latvian time. But I think most of us are able to make that change. Nobody died at game last night, so we were winning. That was a bonus. We've been fighting a lot of mind flayers lately, so that's been a thing. Yeah, the Baldur's Gate. Oh man, that looks pretty shiny. I'm excited for you to be moving back to your gaming group, Amy. That's so awesome. You're running for them, right? You're DMing? I like fifth. I find it pretty superhero-y though, like I have to be honest. I haven't played 3.5 or 4, but I want a hybrid of 2e and 5e. I like 2e's specificity. I hate Thaco. Um, I love 5e's simplification of the math. I don't know how to balance those things. Fifth is the edition that got me playing more, for sure. For sure, for sure. And part of that is just like the inclusion in the art. Like it was a really big deal for me to start seeing non bikini clad women in the art and people of color, the fact that queer characters are mentioned all the time, like it not all the time, but like they're present, they're not you don't belong here, you never show up in this world kind of thing. So that made life better for me big time. Centaur Druid. Nice. A neutral necromancer. So they just went around like slaying the undead. Does that sound a little bit like the Grave Domain cleric? Kind of, sort of. Undead is a big theme in the campaign I'm currently running, and that's been interesting to kind of think about the whys and wheres and hows of necromancy. I'm really interested in watching Taliesin play a Grave Domain cleric. Like, I'm still behind. I think I'm only on like episode 41 for season 2, campaign 2, but it's really cool. I'm digging it. All right, you guys, I think we have a winner. And by that I mean I need to stop talking about it or playing with it before I wreck it. I think we've hit that point. All right. I'll have to fix the W, but that's okay. Now to send it to Marshall and see what Marshall thinks. All right, I think I am going to run away. Brian, if you do decide you want help with your unicorn, let me know. I am open to that. And yeah, this was fun. This was fun. I enjoyed this very much. It's not very often that I just draw city sort of style things. Maybe I will need to do more of that. Okay, I am going to go and do the thing, and you should also go and do the thing. Bonus points if that involves taking pictures of things so that I can have a look at your life, because yay, living vicariously. And I will catch you guys later. Hopefully next week, because now that we maybe have technology that's not messing with me quite so bad, we'll do it. I'm not sure I'm crazy about this stage 10 TV thing broadcasting in the top right hand corner, but we'll deal with it. All right. Love you all. Catch you later. Bye.